It's the Michigan world, huh?
It
Yes,
sure
it
is.
It really is. But we're
So-
making the best of it. Oh, look at the
Okay,
dog.
That's the baby.
Baby Snyder.
So
No one watching this on Facebook. Why?
This is the biggest baby I've ever had, and she is the biggest cuddler.
Oh my.
And what's her name?
Baby.
Baby.
Baby. What else?
Name tag. See, it's on her name tag.
Okay, she stinks.
Okay. There you go. Good girl.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so nice to see everybody. And
Good girl. Go lay down.
I'm going to temporarily mute everybody so that we could hear each other. Guten Erev Shabbos. Another week has passed. This has not been an ordinary week by any stretch, unfortunately. This has been a very, very difficult week for our country, for all of us. We're all left shocked upon witnessing the events. And what is there to say about the events that have unraveled throughout our great nation? I mean, the violence, the hatred, the destruction, the lack of respect of property, and where it all began, of course, with the horrible event that triggered it all and has sent it into a tailspin. I would like to share with you what the Rebbe has said in the past when we faced adversity, conflict, because the entire week I was asking myself, what would the Rebbe say? And I got my answer immediately
I
based
can't
on.
get the sound.
You can't hear me? Could you hear me? Could you hear me? Yes, okay. It says in the Torah, my friends, in Genesis, that God created man in the image of God. Now, what does this mean practically? It means a lot of things. But the thing that came to mind, based on the Rebbe's talks, in dealing with situations such as these, although we have never really dealt with a situation like this in such a large scope, but nevertheless, we in Brooklyn and Crown Heights, specifically in 1991, went through a very difficult challenge, the Crown Heights riots. You may have heard of it. God creating man in his image means that each and every one of us, every human being, has the same core. And of course, the question begs, we have the same core, how could it be that we're so different from one another? Ideologically, how could it be that our view of the world is so different from one another? I mean, we're talking about 180 degrees. Our reactions to certain events are completely different, as we witnessed this week. And most importantly, how do we come together and how do we reveal that core that we all possess, that is a fragment of Hashem, of God Almighty, Tselem Malakim, the image of God. And the Rebbe taught us the answer is one word: education. Education, education, education. Which means to say, you know, externally, we all are different. We have our own outlooks. There's the old nurture versus nature debate. We each have our background and we are predisposed to certain outlooks, certain approaches to life. The environment in which we grew up in, the home in which we were raised, nurture versus nature. But the Rebbe told us, education means to reintroduce the core values that we all know to be true from deep within on a soul level. And this is where the Tselem Elikim, that core, having been created in the image of God, comes in. It means to teach the world about goodness, about godliness, about the fact that we all have that core that's a fragment from the divine, a piece of God himself. And this is really the only way to come together and to change another human being. This means to say, if I feel that I'm in the right, and I'm looking at a group of people that are so misguided, that are destroying this great country, that are reacting in ways that I think do not speak to the American spirit. If I believe that, how can I bring them to my way of thinking? By arguing? It never works. If somebody opposes me ideologically, and that individual is in the other extreme, we're both set in our ways. How am I going to change that person? And how is that person going to change me? And how are we going to come to the middle? The Rebbe told us, in addition to looking to the common ground to bring us together, we have to dig deeper than that and show how we are truly the same from the very core of our being by virtue of our Tselem Elikim, the fact that we are all created in God's image. How do we do that?
I don't know that
Not
others
by
can hear.
combating one another, but
Right.
not by opposing one another, but by uplifting, by inspiring, by showing another person the kind of lives that we lead, by reintroducing, as I said before, God into our homes and into our schools, so that when somebody who may oppose us ideologically, who may think very differently than me, sees the way I behave, sees the way you behave as a child of God, as an individual who has Torah and its values at your core of your existence. They then become inspired and they say to themselves, wow, tell me more. I want to learn more about it. That is the best and really the only way to change that individual, where now this person we begin seeing the world around them from a completely different vantage point that it never occurred to them that this is a possibility. How have you done this? By digging a little bit deeper and with love and with sensitivity and with patience and understanding, you show them the beauty and the richness of a life of Torah, the values that we hold so dear, that is permeated front and center with the existence of God and how God created every single human being equally in his image, and that we each therefore possess an intrinsic value. Now the person says, oh, now I'm hearing something that I could live with. And without even knowing it, they start viewing the world the way you see it. Now, the purpose is not for them to view it the way you see it, but you get what I'm saying. The values that we know to be true with a God-centered existence, they become attracted to it. And I thought about this a lot this week. So much of our troubles, my dear friends, comes about because we've dismissed God from the schools, we've dismissed God from the homes. The idea of a moment of silence that the Rebbe, who is never wrong, I mean, he's told us this time and time again, please introduce the idea of a moment of silence into the public school system, where every single day the children take a moment, just a moment, to think about God, to think about his and her relationship with God, and to know that there's a greater existence that's above us, that created us for a purpose, and that he values our life. when you see people behaving in such ways, you say to yourself, they may perhaps they don't feel like their lives have value. I'd like to share very briefly before we unmute everybody, a story that I believe I shared at the shul. It's a story that I heard from Professor Alan Dershowitz, who tells the story that years and years ago, he mustered up the chutzpah, and he says it was chutzpah in the worst possible way, to write a letter to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was upset because he saw that there was a Chabad organization that was honoring Jesse Helms at one of their functions. And as the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Alan says, I disagreed with him vehemently on pretty much every subject, but particularly one subject that I couldn't understand why Chabad Lubavitch would honor such a person, because he was so anti-Israel. And I wrote to the Rebbe, with all due respect, your organization or whichever particular Chabad was doing this was making a grave error. How could Lubavitch do such a thing? And Alan Dershowitz says, I received several pages in response to my letter with the Rebbe in a very respectful and loving way, amongst other things, said that you have to know how to speak to individuals and how to approach somebody. The same individual that today may seem to be anti-Israel, when approached properly, with love, with consideration, with respect, may one day, says the Rebbe to Alan Dershowitz, become the greatest champion of Israel. Alan says, I received the letter. I was very, very warmed by this beautiful response, but I had my doubts. He's going to change all of a sudden. How is that going to happen? Well, guess what happened? This very senator became a great champion for Israel, and the Rebbe was right. And he says the Rebbe knew something that we all did not know. And that is, when you look deeper into a human being, instead of judging them, instead of, God forbid, having negative thoughts about them, there's enough hatred in the world to go around. We can't afford anymore. But instead of approaching them with the iron fist, we have to recognize that this person was raised in a different environment than I was, in a different community, in a different home, different circumstances, right? The nature versus nurture, or both. And perhaps sometimes people are farblunget, very lost in life. They're all farmished in the head because of their background, because of the schooling that they went to, because of the education, their environment in which they grew up in. And if we could look past that and say, you know what? That human being was created in the same image of God as I was. How can I move past that exterior and reach that person to his or her core, so that we could actually shine the light on that core and prove that really we have much more that unites us than divides us? And that, my friends, the Rebbe told us, there's only one way of doing that. Not through knocking our head against the wall and arguing and shouting. It's by demonstrating before this individual or these individuals the beauty and of Torah, and how God runs the world and created each and every one of us in his image for a divine purpose. And everybody has an innate and intrinsic value. Everybody has something wonderful to contribute to God's world. And what that individual can contribute, I cannot, and vice versa. Now, all of a sudden, the person begins to think of himself, wow, my life really does have value. I really could make a difference. I should maybe perhaps clean my act up and recognize that I could be a builder, not just a destroyer. So this is the thoughts that I wanted to share with my dear friends that were going through my mind during this very, very difficult week a very shameful week for our country. And as a Jew and as a patriotic American, it was very, very difficult for me, and I'm sure for everybody, to witness what we saw this week. The world needs repairing. We need Mashiach, and we need each other, because every single one on this call and those that are not on this call could make a world of a difference by following the Rebbe's directives in this exact idea, by uplifting people through inspiring them to the truth of Torah, the truth of God, because the truth always prevails. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. I'll just add a little spark of joy, because this week has not been an easy week on any level. And I'll just take the opportunity to share some beautiful things that are going on in our community. I know that everyone on this call, or most of you, are deeply involved in the Chabad organization. But perhaps we don't know so much of the other things that are going on because we're very focused on one area. So I thought I would share with you, I don't know those that know, that we have a Sunday school that's been going on for a couple of years now. And even when the corona hit and everything was shut down, our school continued virtually. We had all different kind of virtual classrooms and Zooms and really beautiful work going on. The kids still continue to meet each and every Sunday. And this coming Sunday is what we call graduation, the end of year celebration. And Kinahara, as we say, over 50 children have been going through our doors every Sunday this week. And take a lot of nachas in celebrating with them the end of year program. And just something very sweet is that we asked some of the children, I had the teachers ask their children, their individual classrooms, what were some of the favorite things that we did this year? And I have to tell you, we really had a spectacular year. The kids did so many creative activities. They painted, they baked, they cooked, they drew, they did science, they did art. They explored Judaism from every part of their senses in every possible way. And many of them, when they were asked what their favorite part of Hebrew school was, pointed to our Hebrew reading program that we call Olive Champ. It's a motivational program built on like the karate system where the kids advance from level to level. And I really was taken by that because I think that all the art and fun and joy and music provides a really comfortable setting for the kids to enjoy coming and being a part of it. But what touched them most and what they most enjoyed was simply learning their Hebrew alphabet, learning to read Hebrew, being a part of that program. For me, that was a very heartwarming moment because it showed me that while all of the other things are necessary to make them want to come to Hebrew school and make Hebrew school fun, we haven't lost sight of the core and the essence of what it's really about, learning about their heritage, connecting with our ancestry, our culture, our religion, and simply learning to read the letters that are found in our Torah scroll. So on behalf of all of us, I say mazel tov to these children who are advanced in their levels and are continuing to grow and are looking forward to, God willing, coming back next year in a physical classroom.
Amen. All right, all unmuted now. What say you?
Well, I want to tell you that Henya is going to high school, and Yossi is graduating high school and going to Tura College.
Wow.
Mazel tov. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank
How
you.
the time has flown.
I remember
Yes.
coming in the car seat to Shul with
That's-
you as my holidays,
That's right.
this little pink,
That's right.
this little pink bundle of fluff in this
Yeah.
beautiful car seat sitting by you. Now she's graduating elementary school.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, it's amazing.
Nice.
Junior high school, she's graduating.
Amazing.
Yeah, and going to high school. And Yossi is going to go to Tura College.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Should be with tremendous success.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you all. We love to
Yes.
see you all. We miss being there with you, but one day we will be back there.
I wanted to mention that, God willing, please God, this coming week, we're going to make an announcement as it relates to reopening the shul with certain conditions. I like the word conditions, not restrictions. And, Details will follow in the coming days. Emir Hashem.
Thank you.
Very good.
Great
Shabbat
news,
shalom
Rabbi.
to everybody.
Shabbat shalom from me.
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat
Miles.
Shalom, Miles.
So nice to see you.
Good to
Hi.
see you, Miles.
Thank you. It's good to see all of you.
How you feeling?
Fine. Just
Great.
fine.
Great.
Yeah.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
You guys made the
Sometimes we
move
could get to
south
see
just
each
in
other
time.
more.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
I said they made the move down south just in time.
Yeah, that's
Quarantine.
true.
Oh.
Yes.
Mike and Flurry.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you. I don't think you're muted. The volume. Oh, there you go.
Ah, Flory. Hi, Flory.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, good to see you all.
It's good to see you too.
They just figured
Hope
out.
to see you soon in person.
I had a delicious chocolate chip cookie today. I wonder where it came from.
And
All right.
snickerdoodles. Snickerdoodles.
We're saving our cookies for dessert.
Wow, that's a lot of self-control.
Alan's say L'chaim.
Alan,
Oh, I'm sorry. L'chaim.
Hi, Alan.
Hi,
I'm
everybody.
drinking already.
Shabbat shalom to everybody.
Shabbat shalom to you too.
But shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And Gershon.
Shabbat shalom to everyone. It is this session, believe it or not, is turning out to be the highlight of my week, or every week. Really, it's not only you, the people, but if any of you had was in a situation where you work from home, not just once in a while, but constantly work from home, it's easy to lose contact, face-to-face contact with people you know, and it's getting really old really fast, and you start craving the human touch, but if nothing else, the interaction. So this session, especially with the Rebbe and Craney and the words of wisdom, is easily the highlight of my week. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
There we
We
go.
are social creatures.
Yes. Amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Gina and Linda.
Mark, we're back in, so I'm hanging up.
Hi, Roberta. I can see you.
Hi, how are you?
We're
Hello,
good. We're
Roberta.
good.
Good. We were having problems with our audio, so I had to go in and out.
Well,
Glad
now
you're
I
in.
see you. Now
Good.
I see you.
Good.
Shabbat
Roberta
shalom
and
to both of
Gershon.
you.
What?
Shabbat shalom,
George.
everyone, and Sei gesund.
Shabbat Shalom. And Zai
Rabbi?
gesund to you.
Are any of the other synagogues opening up anywhere in Brooklyn or I can't imagine in LA.
Yeah, every situation is unique in every location. We're moving towards that slowly reopening. And it's hard to, in this situation, certainly to generalize, because it really depends not only on the location, but also on the type of facility and whether the facility has an outdoor option. So, we were thinking a lot, Craney and I, this week of our facility, and we feel like we're reached that point where we could reopen following certain guidelines. And I very much look forward to it. So details will follow.
You could put up the sukkahs again and we'd have twice the room.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Rabbi,
How close is?
you may want to think about and tell us about the halachic aspects of davening and reading the Torah and touching the Torah with face coverings. What implications, if any, there are?
Yeah, I know. I
That's
think
commandment number 614.
Yeah. We're
What'd
gonna
she
learn on
say?
the job.
There's only
Be a lot of
650.
adjustments that we're not used to for a while.
Yeah.
Figure it
How-
out. We
How
always do.
how close is are your parents to all the stuff going on in Wisconsin, in Minnesota?
In Wisconsin, my parents are in Mequon, it's like a suburb kind of north of Milwaukee. It's very quiet there. So
We're
they're,
close though.
no, my family said it's been quiet there. They're suburbia.
God.
So we
Baruch
had
Hashem.
more people protesting in Laguna Niguel than your parents did?
I think so, yeah.
In Mequon, it was only the Rappaports.
Yeah.
Ha, that's a big crowd.
They were the whole crowd.
Nobody broke anything. It was,
I wasn't there. I don't.
a little some challenge, was fleeing through the crowd, but that was it. Gene, do you want
Somebody
to
has
try
to
again? I
protest.
couldn't hear you before.
Gene, you are
I
on
can't
mute.
hear. Are you on mute? No, he's not on mute. Gene,
He's-
turn up your volume.
He's on mute.
He's not. I see over here. He's not.
His audio might not be connected.
Maybe the audio is having some problems.
Yeah, we had problems with the audio.
Oh, okay.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
There you are.
All right. It's
Turn it on.
very important that we all stick together as a community. And if anybody senses any difficulty, we should communicate with one another. These are really Michigan times. And it's important that our community stay strong and stay close to each other. It's a sad day where rabbis and all over Southern California and all over the United States have to worry about their synagogues and the Torahs and everything else. So we need to support our community. We need to support the rabbi, support the shuls, and stay strong and close together. And if anybody encounters any difficulty, let's communicate as a team and as a community together. I mean, this rioting and this mishigas is not good. And we, especially as Jews, they're the first people that they pick on. They pick on us. So it's every one of us needs to be together and stay strong and everything else. And Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
I
shalom.
want to tell you, Gene,
Shalom.
I was in touch this entire week with the supervisor, essentially the chief of police here, who me regularly with updates. And I was in close contact because we heard rumors, all kinds of rumors about bricks delivered to various locations. So we've been in communication, including with our security group. And I want to mention that Gene, I think, and Linda helped break up a little disturbance there near your office. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's a sad thing. I was going home and leaving it, and all of a sudden I see two youngsters, two young kids. They couldn't be more than 25 years old, and one of them had a big stick, and he was beating the daylights out of somebody else. So I just pulled the car over and I told the guy,
That's
"What
what I
are you
would do.
doing?" And stop. And maybe that was not the right thing to do. And the guy that was hitting the other person with his stick said he was about to be knifed. So I'm thinking to myself, in the streets in Santa Ana, this is happening in broad daylight. It's got to end. It's got to stop. And as I'm speaking right now in Monarch Bay, the security guards, special security guards that are guarding the street at PCH because there's a march from Dana Point into Laguna Beach right now as we speak. So this is not good. And we're the first people that, as Jews, that they target. Look what happened to some of the synagogues in LA. It said Free Palestine on it. What do we have to do with what's going on with the slaying of this Black individual? So just remember, if anybody ever had a gripe about discrimination, we've been the most discriminated people around in the history of the world, but we don't go out and put bricks on streets and fire and riot and destroy people's property. We were taught in a different way to be mensch and to be the servants of Hashem. So listen to what the rabbi and the rebbitzin say. Their guidelines are 100%, but we need to be strong. We need to be unified, and we need to be a very cohesive community. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Gene.
Very well
And Gene, you
said, Gene.
succeeded in bringing up that fight. You succeeded in breaking it
Yeah,
up.
yeah. They left, but
I'm happy you made it out in one piece.
thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah, that's true.
All over. When
Gene,
they
we
see
need to
two
get you
people
over to on
fighting,
target so you know how to shoot.
Well,
One had a stick, the other one had a knife, and Gene came over and said, "Stop it, kids, behave yourself."
they,
If you go
Get it yourself.
if you go to On Target, say hello to my daughter.
all right.
I haven't seen her there.
Shamir, do you hear me?
Yes.
How are you?
How are you, Rabbi? Where's
A
the dog?
little bit louder.
Oh, I thought someone was putting a dog on.
Yeah, the doggy.
Where's the dog? No dog, no dog.
Yeah.
A little bit. If you turn your volume a little higher. What? Yeah, go ahead now.
Okay. Everything's fine, Rabbi.
Yeah, good.
No week, no good news. Just been studying a lot.
Wonderful. Well, it's always wonderful to see you.
Always wonderful to see
You a beautiful weekend and a Shabbat Shalom. And please, God, let it be a more peaceful week coming up. Roberta and George. I'm sorry.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. I agree with staying strong. Rabbi, you know how I stay strong.
Yeah. Amen. Chaim and Dan.
Works out.
Hi, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. I just wanted to say something, what Gene said earlier, which reminds me of all the business owners up in the Grove in Fairfax. There were a lot of Jewish businesses that got looted this last week, and some of their businesses are totally destroyed. And my heart goes out to all of those people.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to come together, this is what Mashiach represents. We're all working hard. Got about Lori.
You betcha. Sei gesund, everybody. Shabbat shalom.
All right. It's been a real pleasure to see you. Wishing you a peaceful Shabbos, a joyous Shabbat, and may
Rabbi,
the
I have a
sanctity of
question.
Shabbos permeate the entire week. I'm sorry, Roberta. Yes.
Okay, I have a question. I helped this lady out. She's 91 years old. There's a group called Congregation Perchei Shoshanim that is going to provide kosher meals for people. I don't know anything about him. The rabbi's name is Shemai Yisrael. And they're going to deliver 21 meals for the month, all kosher.
Wow.
Have you heard? I mean, they have to be in the area. It's a 949 number. I haven't had
Send me the information if you can.
Okay.
It sounds amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We need senseless acts of hatred has to be combated with senseless acts of goodness and kindness.
Sensible.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all very, very much. And I concur with what you said. This is a real
Thank you,
highlight for
Rabbi.
us to see everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi
you,
and
and-
Creamy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Miles and
shalom.
Esther, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yes,
Shabbat shalom.
it's a real pleasure.
Real pleasure. Good to see you. Be well.